Well, happy Friday, everybody. How are y'all doing on this fabulous day? If you're listening, then thank you. Appreciate it. You are the right place, I would assume. Anyway, it is a fine day. I have to tell you, I really enjoyed that session of the Allman Brothers. Saw those boys in the early days. Mm-mm-mm. We all have those memories. That's what we're all here about. We love it. And I can see that we are live 5 by 5 across the board. So, hey, that's a good thing. So, anyway, thank you for again tuning in. I hope you're having fun and that, hey, you're enjoying it, making this the best day of your life because that's what it is. Anyway. How y'all doing? Hello, chat room. What's up? Hello, all the moderators and everybody else. Since everyone's a moderator here, but Deborah Sloan, how are you, darling? Bernadette, Goddess Sabina, good to see you. And Loretta, I saw Lilith here. Jackie, good to see you. Let me speak favor over us all. Jackie, you help remind me. Nothing missing, nothing broken. Hey, abracadabra, we create what we speak. If we're in fact gods. Hmm. Hey, Go, all the way from Croatia. We got a worldwide audience. This beautiful enclave of some of the best spirit beings. If we're prisoners, I can't think of a better group to be hanging out with, if that's the case. And it does seem like it is, but that's just one point of view. Some others say this is hell. Yeah, that's another point of view. And this is dealing with the Book of Enoch, which is part of this series dealing with reincarnation. Because if reincarnation is true, then we have to examine all these belief systems, or we're all just fooling ourselves. We're just in a play and we're actors. Don't know. Voiceover, how are you, Stephanie? Good to see you. Bonnie, hello. Lost in Space is in the room. Good to see you. Source Frequency, hello. Good to see you, Claire. What's up, Jerry? Good to see you as well. Thor's friend, good to Wayne's World. It is a party. Yeah, most excellent. We try to keep it light here. I mean, we deal with some heavy, heavy stuff, man. Serious mind coitus. And, intelligence is highlighted well, actually, it's if you have a keen wit, sense of humor, you're really intelligent. I mean, if God exists, then it's got to have a sense of humor. I bet it can tell some of the best fucking jokes out there. Yeah. Anyway, hey Nina, what's good up, girl? Good to see you, Lady Ellie. Hello, Stephen. Good to see you, Emperor Rex. As I'm going back here, trying to catch everybody. Loretta, good to see you, DC. All right, I think I got everybody. I hope I got everybody. If I've missed you, well, just as I look over there, I'll see you guys in the chat room and go, "Hey, John, good to see you." See, that's what I'm talking about. Grace, hello. So, Colleen, you sent an email and it's interesting because we're about to get into the book. And it's very obvious that this is a story of an alien. This is not God, not even close. Now, I don't know, how the hierarchies truly work, but if this beast is the creator, we're all in hell. We'll never know anything else because this is the only thing this thing does. But Colleen brought up a really good point, about Enoch. There is other Enochs and other bloodlines. And I began to think about, and she wrote about Cain. And so Cain is not in the bloodline of Adam. All right. Then you got to ask yourself, but Cain was guilty of killing Abel and then being exiled with this mark. Um, And his fear was is that he would be killed by the other people. Well, if Adam was the only one doing the breeding here, then where did all these people of the uh, the valley come from? So is Cain's birth a result of an alien being interacting again? Because the issue when you think about this, as far are there really any humans on this planet? I don't think there are. There may be a lot of different types of humans, or hybrids would be more accurate. And we're afraid to admit that there are no humans here. We're hybrids. And by these stories, whether they're just mythology, whether they're just lore, the fact of the matter is, and I'll attribute the Spock to this, that if there is even a shred of evidence, all myths are built upon a fact, a truth. Then we have to extrapolate, all right, the mind that was writing this, no one knows the minds of, and if a document's written 2 or 3,000 or plus years ago, modern man has no ability to truly understand the mindset. We can read the words, but we have really a different interpretation as to the meaning of the word. They say that that's why the Greek, the original Greek, the pure Greek that doesn't exist anymore, it's a dead language, was one of the most perfected languages that our species has ever produced. It was, there was no ambiguity to it. You knew what we were talking about. So you get back to this thing with Cain. I mean, if you believe in the story of this Bible, then you've got this reptile, which then implies that there must have been reptilians here, because all of its angels of this God are reptilian in nature. I mean, just because something says they make it in the image, got no freaking idea what it looks like. I mean, it could be having a bad day, who knows? But Cain, so the bloodline, there are no pure humans. Our bloodline has been forever contaminated. And this is where the story, I asked the question, so what God do you worship? We've got a demented guy pretending to be president who says God bless all the time. And so does Trump and all the rest of these politicians. But no one stops them and says, well, what God are you talking about? And if they were to reply, the God of the Bible, well, which God which God of the Bible? The Bible has a lot of different gods. That's the challenge that we're dealing with. That's why we talk about this. We're philosophers, every one of us. We're developing our own philosophies, which is, to me, just as cool as all can be. What a cacophony. Dun, 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 dun. So, do you worship God? I used to. I mean, but then when I really looked back on it, the whole time, I can tell you the consciousness, which, up here in the corona, the crown. Um, I swear I was watching myself and asking, what the hell are you doing, dude? At the time, I thought I was truly worshiping. I now see it from an occultist point of view. Wow, if I had only been taught properly how to channel, I probably would have gotten some fucking results. I mean, you know, intense focus, intense concert. When you are laying prostrate before the Lord, right? Emptying yourself out before an unseen whatever. I can assure you no one manifested in the room, but yet. So I really get it. I know what it was to be an intercessory prayer warrior. So when I read this now, I'm going, yeah, if I'd only questioned that, I might not have done that. Uh, Tina says it's never too late. But yeah, So if we learn how to channel, I tell you the first thing that, and a little off the track here, going a little side ray, more of the nature view. Um, when you think about channeling and prayer and worship, they're they're all of the same thing. And they say the highest form of awareness is if you have conversations with yourself. Now that is interesting. How many of you talk to yourselves? Raise your hand. I sometimes when I talk to myself, it's like I tell my wife, I need someone as intelligent as I am to talk to. Anyway, hey Trina, good to see you. Uh, but anyway, we each have our own philosophy in this. So getting back to the story, it's an interesting story in the fact that we have evidence that something happened, but if you look at it from a completely different set of lenses, glasses, wow. I mean, there's some real occult shit in here. Serious. And getting back to channeling. So we're reading the words of a human who's interacting with these beings. Wow, now that's just a mind fuck right there. None of this hidden stuff. No. And apparently he has the ability to be manifested in physical form unless there was a transmutation. We don't read that taking place. It's the story with Elijah as well. Another strange one. And they say that these men were righteous, but these men had sex. It's all about sex. That's what this story is about. Let's get into the story. Because I tell you, this is a science fiction novel that if you can put aside the religious part of this thing, it truly is this far out science fiction. I mean, this has got Stephen King. Again, I said Dean Koontz is in this thing. Let's throw some F. Paul Wilson in there. I could think of Brad Steiger, relative. Yeah. Anyway, so these angels came down. We'll pick up where we left off yesterday. And so they're having sex. And we know what it is. It was an abductions, alien abductions. I don't believe that any human female would have gone voluntarily. I mean, maybe some, but I don't know. And then you get into the whole anatomy thing. So how did that work? I mean, did they actually ejaculate? And then you get into this thing, if angels have semen, well then how the hell does that work? And why? They're saying they're not human, but they have to have some part of human in them. Otherwise, this genetic material would have never bound together. But you see, I guarantee you, the vast majority of Christians that read this, they won't think that shit. They'll go right on along. All right. So, and then this gets into this point about demons. Where the hell did they come from? Well, I think we have a little clue here because, I know that there are modalities out there where individuals are making worship to these, but these beings, and these beings specifically, Azel, Samlaza, just to speak of few, I know people that actually worship these things. They make, contact, or so they say. But according to this story, these beings in a place, they ain't talking to anybody. So let's pick up. So now we have Gabriel, and Michael. They look down and say, what the hell? We found out yesterday as we closed that these are the dead men. These are their souls. They're making petition before this God because they're trying to, invoke the angels to, it's like the president, you only got to go through the chief of staff, and then, we're going to see if you're even worthy of his time. But they're being slaughtered by these angels. While the giants were here, the angels were, these fallen angels, these angels were here as well. Fallen or not, they're still freaking angels. This again is an alien intrusion. And so now they get this attention of this God who calls itself, they said to the Lord of ages, the Lord of lords, God of gods. So this is implying that there is this plethora, there is this whole org chart of gods, kings, king of kings, God of the ages. Wow. See, in my biblical training, I'm hearing Paul in this talking about eternity of eternities. Second Peter talks about this current age, this universe will literally be rolled up, consumed in fire, and a new one will be birthed forth. Well, that sounds like a new age. We know in the grand procession that the 26,400 year cycle, apparently we're coming into that. Is this all part of this? No. Figure it out for yourself, right? The throne of your glory stands unto all generations of the ages. And you're talking about life here. So what kind of life? If these angels live in a realm that where humans can't go, then how in the hell do you call this again? This is the death realm. No fucking way that this is the life realm. That's we bought this. I think that's the grandest deception of all. Just my opinion. It says that your name is holy and glorious, and blessed means be blessed unto all ages. You have made all things. Well, you can get into a debate on this. Okay. The power over all things. Now, if he's got power over everything and he can violate his own rules, again, where the hell was he when this was going on? I think this sounds like a guy who really doesn't give a shit. Just my personal opinion. You see all things and nothing can hide itself from you. There's our indictment again, as I said yesterday. You have seen what Azazel has done, and who has taught all unrighteousness on earth and revealed, get this, folks, the eternal secrets which were in heaven. Now, I contend that this is the true occult. And I don't know, in fact, I don't know of anyone that I've read, heard about, that truly has these secrets. It is said that Seth went into a cave and wrote in this cave all his knowledge, and all the knowledge of what Adam passed on. Imagine what type of eternal secrets that is. So apparently these angels, they taught this to man. I contend someone, I don't know who, but I would say the odds are someone has these secrets. And I think if you have these secrets, you can alter space-time itself. Just my opinion. Anyway, these secrets which were in heaven, which men were striving to learn. So we knew something, our species, think about it, our ancestors, they had to have had something. They had to have gotten together and said, wait a minute, this dude that's calling himself God is holding out on us, man. We're seeing all this other shit, man, and it ain't making sense. He's saying one thing and doing another, but kicking our ass if we do not everything that he says. So there is these secrets. And then we got Samlaza, to whom you have given authority, get this, to bear rule over his associates. So this guy, I would say you could probably equate it to a governor. It's got authority. Most likely, If we were looking in military terms, this guy's a maybe a 2 or 3-star general. So they had power. Wow. And they're coming down and they're messing with the women. Now, I'm not female, but if I was, who knows, I may have been, may yet to be, but this would piss me off. I mean, just flat piss me off. 6, and they have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth and have slept with them, coitus, fucking, doing the mambo. And again, how does that work? And have defiled themselves. Now, that implies that they are a state of consciousness, maybe a state of being, that somehow or another, when they had intercourse with women, that there was what? A blood transfer? Yeah, because every person you have slept with, you have a part of their DNA in you. Same thing here. And apparently our DNA defiles them. Is it possible that the DNA that we possess is unique to us and that if it's taken, altered, it has very, let's say, not pleasant effects? Anyway, so they defiled themselves and revealed to them all kinds of sins. Actually, that word sins would be knowledge. But you see, in the context, certain knowledge is sin. You ain't supposed to be knowing this shit. And the women have borne giants, and the whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness. Now, this metaphor of being filled with blood actually is more related to the sharing of blood, one species to the other. Most likely, there was blood drinking. Saw in the comments yesterday, someone said about the copper. I think there would be a number of reasons of why they would drink our blood. I think they're still doing it today. Out of the over 4 million people that go missing each year in abductions and other such things, and we see this in the cattle mutilations. We see this in other animals, and we've seen it in humans where they are completely drained of their blood. There are no vital fluids left. They're still here. They're still feeding off of us. But you see, you won't get this in a seminary because that's exactly what it's talking about. That would make this earth one fucking weird place, literally. And I think today, when you get into cryptozoology, that we're finding all over the world these creatures, these monstrosities. They're real. They're feeding off of us. They're feeding off the animals. Again, part of this bloodletting, this blood sharing. And the word unrighteousness there means contamination. So there is this contamination taking place, and it's like a virus. I mean, once it's introduced into a species, watch out. And now, behold, the souls of those who have died are crying out. So this is clear indication of some form of incarnation, some form of an afterlife. Now, the question is, these souls, where are they? This place that physically exists. And because the reason why we know that they're gathered together. So the souls of those who have died are crying out, making their suit, their petition, like filing a case in court, to the gates of heaven. So there is a process. There is a literal gatekeeper. And their lamentations have ascended and cannot cease because of the lawless deeds which were wrought on the earth. Wow. Now, my mind, when I see this and I'm going, so there's something going on here. It's almost like you're replaying a tape, a scratch on your record that's skipping. It's in a continual feedback loop. Because they're talking lamentations. That's pain. That's sorrow. That's grief. There's no joy in that. And they had to die horrible deaths. Imagine if they had their blood completely drained out of them while they were awake. You don't think that'd hurt? And you go into death or into this next realm with that over you? And it says, this God, you know all things before they come to pass. And you see these things and you do suffer them. Messed up. And you do not say to us, what are we to do in regard to these? So right here is an indictment against this God. I don't know which God it is, but I got to tell you, it ain't your friend. Because if it had saw this, it knew it and did nothing, then it tells me it feeds off of pain, sorrow. Gets better. Then said, now God's going to talk about. Then said the Most High, the Holy and Great One spoke. Sound like the Wizard of Oz, huh? And sent Uriel to the son of Lamech and said to him, go to Noah and tell him in my name. Now, that's real curious in here. No one knows what this name is. Oh, you heard it could be Elohim, Yahweh, Allah, who knows? Father. No one knows the name. It said, hide yourself. Well, excuse me. I thought you were fucking God. What do you mean? I'm going to go hide myself. Why can't you do that for me? And reveal to him the end that is approaching, and that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come upon the whole earth, and will destroy all that is on it. And now instruct him that he may escape, and his seed may be preserved for all generations of the world. So, several things going on here. Now, let me just look at this as if I was a extraterrestrial geneticist. What would you do here? Well, you can't reverse this. It's so far gone that you have to basically dump the experiment. Because if this was really God, just like that, all is what it used to be. Be like Q, next generation. Just like that. But apparently it's not that powerful. And apparently it can't seem to change the future, the present, nor the past. Wow. And what he's basically saying to Noah is, hey, keep it in your shorts, man. Yeah. And again, the Lord, now I don't know if this the Lord, who is this? Is this now the Most High? The Lord here is speaking of an office. So there's an angel here, one would think, or said to Raphael, bind Azel hand and foot. All right, so we know that they must be human-like. Some of the descriptions of these beings I've heard is that they were shapeshifters, that they could, shapeshift into any form that they want. I wonder why they didn't shapeshift into the female form. They said they looked upon the woman and lusted after her, the female. Wow, these angels. And cast him into the darkness, make an opening in the desert, which is in Dudal. As I understand, that's Saudi Arabia today, and cast him therein, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness. Now, this is interesting because it's not just the fact that there would be rocks, and there's apparently a substance that is darkness. Well, how do we know that? Well, we actually read that in Genesis 1:6, I believe. And let him abide there forever, and cover his face, that he may not see light. And on the day of great judgment, he shall be cast into the fire. You see, folks, if there's even a morsel of this, then of truth, we're just living out a script. And no matter how you slice it and dice it, no matter how you want to go about it, you're screwed. You can't beat the house. The house odds are against you. You may get lucky once in a while on the roll of the dice or the spin of the slot machine, but guarantee you this: the whole situation is slided to one side. And then it gets a little strange here, and it says, "And heal the earth which the angels have corrupted." Well, how did that happen? Again, it's the bloodline. It's all we're talking about. This is all about bloodlines. And proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague. Plagues are blood diseases. And that all the children of men may not perish through all the secret things that the watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons. So that means that they were teaching these giants. Wow. I can only imagine. It would probably blow us all away if we were actually in the same room with these beings and we could understand their language and see what they were passing on. And I cannot help but think that if these angels and this offspring of Nephilim, Rephaim, however you want to look at it, they knew this, and somehow or another they were disadvantaged in this, I can't help but think of their hatred for this God, that they would not pass this on to humans. If anything else, for a revenge factor. Because as they go to their place, and I contend that these giants are the demons, we'll read where God said, I didn't have any part of them. Which means then that there's something else that can create life. It can create a whole new species, multidimensional. And the whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Hazael. To him ascribe all the sin, the blood contamination, the knowledge. He had a rat. Hazael was his rat. Now, it's interesting. We don't read Lucifer in any of this. There ain't no fucking Satan either. None of that. So where is Satan? Where is Lucifer? You see how the stories, how they've done this to us? Because you get into the New Testament shit, and now you've got these two new characters, but they ain't here. And then you got to ask yourself, well, where's Enki? Where's Enyo? Are these the Anunnaki? Are these the Elohim? Who are we talking about here? We're so sloppy in how we assign names with entities and deities. It's all mixed up. And now you got Gabriel. Now, Gabriel is a murderer. Gabriel has human blood on his whatever the hell he is. This angel, in fact, they say that if you ever see Gabriel, you're about to die. What kind of characters are we dealing with in this play? I mean, come on. I mean, most of us just want to sit around the campfire, pass the pipe, maybe the jug, have a little, munchies. We want to talk about, the universe, life. No, baby. We don't realize how freaking bad it really is. So anyway, to Gabriel said the Lord, not God, the Lord, proceed against the bastards. Whoa. What does a bastard mean? It means they ain't got no father. And the reprobates, and against the children of fornication. Now, we didn't start this thing. They did. But you got to ask yourself, so take this from, again, the geneticist point of view. What he's saying is that the rest of you, you're fired. You screwed this thing so badly. You don't realize it went all the way to the fucking top. And it's pissed. So all hell, the shit's hitting the fan. And destroy the children of the watchers. I got book after book on these cats. And this is really a cool book because it shows that these watchers were most likely responsible for the war and the genocide on Mars. They ain't going to teach you that at NASA. Send them one against the other that they may destroy each other in battle. Now, that's a spell. If you're going to make it to where you want to kill your opponent, in this case, your own kind, and they got the same, well, isn't that what humans do in war? That's a spell. So now they're going to kill one another. For lengths of days shall they not have, and no request that they make of you shall be granted unto their fathers on their behalf. For they hope to live an eternal life, and that each one of them will have 500 years. So they live to at least 500 years. But more importantly, when they put down these bodies, then what did they have? A soul? Are they spirits? So if they came from angels, there had to be, they were at least half breeds, half human, half angelic. That just, and you think about the contamination of the bloodline. What has that done? Is that where our disease comes from? Is that where cancer comes from? If scientists would only open their minds, they may find answers laying right before them. So they've died. Now where the hell do they go? They go to hell? No, hell does not even exist here. No written of place of hell. So where are they? Right here on earth. But no flood's going to kill them. And the Lord said to Michael, go and bind Samlaza and his associates who have united themselves with women so as to have defiled themselves with them and in all their uncleanness. Now, are these women carrying the same curse that God cursed Eve with? Because in many cultures and traditions, that when the woman is in her menstrual cycle, she is to be separated from the rest of the community. Why? Because it's the shedding of blood. So is this, and somehow this defilement? And is the defilement merely physical? It appears that there is a defilement taking place as a spirit, as a soul. And when their sons have slain one another, and we read that in King Og, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth. Well, I read back in the 80s, I was in a seminar, and someone actually had done this. And it was really strange because if you take a generation as 40, so 40 years, right, times 70, let's just do that real quick. And of course, we don't have the actual date when this was taking place, but we can only suggest that it's 2,800 years. Now, our generations may be wrong, but let's just say that if we look close enough to the Jewish calendar, then these beings were let out the same time that this Christ was supposedly born. Is there a coincidence? I don't know. Anyway, to the day of their judgment and of their consummation. So they're going to be consumed till the judgment that is forever and ever is consummated. In those days they shall be led off to the abyss of fire and to the torment and to the prison in which they shall be confined forever. And I wrote in there, I said, well, are we looking at the birth of demons here? Is this where they started? Are they still somehow propagating even now? Are there new demons, new angels being born or created? We know they're not human, but they're related to us. Is that why we can either fear them or worship them or command them? And whosoever shall be condemned and destroyed will from thenceforth, I like that, thenceforth be bound together with them to the end of all generations, and destroy all the spirits of the reprobate and the children of the watchers, because they have wronged mankind. Well, maybe we just answered one question here, is that we know that they're spirit beings, not with souls. So they procreated using us as the genetic material. I mean, I could get real crude about this, and it was probably really crude. Someone wrote me an email that just said, they had never stopped and thought about, well, and she was female, and the woman who wrote this anyway, and said, could you imagine being a woman back in that day? You would be hunted. Other humans couldn't protect you. Other humans would sell you out. And the horror that an individual female, a woman, probably a young girl as well, an older woman, well, anyway, to suffer this. And this God allowed this. I've said to you Christians that are out there, your religion is a blood religion. It's a cult. And where was your Jesus when you were slaughtering the people in South America, Central America? How many souls have the Vatican put to the sword, to the rope, to the fire? This is not a friendly human religion. It is one of the grossest, most deplorable belief systems that are out there. They pretend to say love, but they ain't got no fucking love at all. Why? Because their fucking God isn't about love. It's about retribution, anger, judgment, vengeance. Destroy all the wrong from the face of the earth and let every evil work come to an end, and let the plant of righteousness, that's marijuana, that's cannabis, and truth appear. So roll up, smoke a joint, have a bowl, realizing that you're smoking righteousness. And it's odd how the human brain has like 30,000 cannabis receptors in your brain. Isn't that odd? But anyway, and it shall prove a blessing. I got to tell you, being stoned is a blessing. I mean, you know, listen, humans have basically, from the very beginning, always sought to self-anesthetize themselves. Why? This is hell. No one wants to go through this thing sober. And think about all the prescription drugs that the world is addicted to. You got chemical going into your body, it's going to affect you, man. You may not feel it. It's like taking an aspirin. The whole point of taking an aspirin is to stop the feeling, right? The pain. Anyway. And then shall the righteous escape, and shall live till they beget thousands of children. So fucking is going to continue in this next realm. I'm glad to hear that. Sex is still going to be happening. We used to call it balling. 10 years after, had its own little schoolgirl. I want to ball you. Says, I want to screw you. I mean, you know, men and women getting on. This is a cool thing. And listen, if you're going to basically have, you know, ladies, I don't know how y'all feel about this, because you're thinking, holy crap, each woman would have 2,000 or 3,000 babies. Well, how long do you live for that to take? And why would you want to take that place? I don't know. You can get really into a lot of sidetracks on this. And all the days of their youth and their old age shall they complete in peace. So that means this process of being born and dying is not going to stop. Seems like it is an internal thing. So if this is the case, is this not a case for reincarnation, at least to some degree or definition? And it says, and then shall the whole earth be tilted in righteousness, and shall all be and shall all be planted with trees and be full of blessings. I wrote there. So are we talking about here as possible magnetic pole reversal? The earth literally tilting. That's what it said. The earth will be tilted in righteousness. That's not metaphorical. I think that's literal. And all the desirable trees shall be planted on it, and they shall plant vines on it, and the vine which they plant therein shall yield wine in abundance. So we're going to get drunk. I'd like to have a good, I could go with a good Marlowe, maybe a good cab, you know, something that really has, you know, less tennis, but you still get that chocolate and you get the fruitiness, you know, yeah. And as for all the seed which is sown therein shall bear 1,000. There's the thousandfold principle in prosperity, folks, right there. It's amazing how when you read this, you can see where all of these other side beliefs come in. And each measure of olives shall yield 10 presses of oil. Wow. So we're going to be doing some really good cooking. We have the purest virgin olive oil. I mean, yeah. And cleanse thou the earth from all oppression and from all unrighteousness and from all sin and from all godlessness and all the uncleanness that is wrought upon the earth. Destroy that from the earth. Well, I can tell you what, if you're going to give humans wine, free wine, and no doubt you're going to have beer, and then you're going to get the moonshiners in there because that's alchemy as well. I don't know. I mean, maybe we got a different whole definition of sin, godlessness, and, I lived in a couple of communes, and, clothing, was pretty much optional. I mean, you know, is that what it means that we're going to live in this garden-like state? Free the boob. And all the children of men shall become righteous. Okay. Now, righteous is not, again, I'm thinking on this. So what do they mean by righteous? I mean, I've met some pretty righteous people, you know? So I guess depends on the definition. All nations shall offer adoration and shall praise me, and all shall worship me. So here is the problem right here. You've got a being that its ego is of such a nature that it thinks that somehow everything has to be worshiping it in order to justify its existence. This is not God. God, if there is this God that they say over everything, is not looking for people to worship it. It's already said that we're below all these things. And if you're going to worship something, that is slave. That is indebtedness. That is being anything but free. And the earth shall be cleansed from all defilement, and from all sin, and from all punishment, and from all torment. And I will never again send upon it from generation to generation and forever. Well, let me tell you what, asshole. You screwed this up to begin with. You had the opportunity to stop something that has forever altered us, and you now cannot accept your own imperfectness. You want to blame everybody else. Well, I got to tell you something, Jack. We ain't worshiping you. We're probably going to sue you. If there is a galactic court, we're going to sue you as a species. And I have a sense that we're going to win our case. Amazing how a little story can have such commentary, huh? But get this, and worship me. And then he talks about the fact that this punishment and torment. I mean, that's how they got confession from our kind. This God, this Jesus character. They tormented women sexually. They mutilated their bodies. For men, we didn't get off as, completely, but, for the most part, these were sick mothers, perverted individuals. But this is the God that they serve. It says, in those days, I will open the store chambers of blessings. So it's implying here that he's stingy. Because apparently been there, which are in the heaven. So we know that they're in the physical place. Could you imagine what's behind that door, Monty? I'll take door number 3. So as to send them down upon the earth over the work and labor of all the children of men. So, brother and sister, there ain't no paradise. You're going to work your ass off regardless how many times you come through here. You got to get a job just above being broke. Yeah. There's no sitting around contemplating the universe. Well, Adam was a slave. He worked in the garden and apparently it was hot. And truth and peace shall be associated together throughout all the days of the world and throughout all the generations of men. My. The problem is on this, we have no idea the time frame. If we went by the 70 generations thing, then This should have already come to pass. We continue. I told you this is a great science fiction story. It's great. I mean, look at all the side vignettes that we could be doing on this. You've got all these little mini stories going on with the big story. So here's Enoch now, human. Says, before these things, Enoch was hidden, and no one of the children of men knew where he was hidden. He was abducted, and where he lived, and what he had become of him. So he's like AOL, he's missing, man. And his activities had to do with the watchers, and his days were with the holy ones. So he's hanging out with the angels. Now, apparently, manna is the food the angels feed upon, which is interesting. It implies that they have to eat. So he's hanging out with these cats. I don't know if he's hanging out with all 20 of them or all 200. I don't know. But apparently he's hanging out with them, and that ain't here. They're in another place. So you can begin to think about, well, what is the physical body, his physical body doing? And I, Enoch, was blessing the Lord of majesty, the King of ages, and lo, the watchers called me. Enoch, the scribe, they said to me, Enoch, you scribe of righteousness, go declare to the watchers of the heaven who have left the high heaven, the holy eternal place, and have defiled themselves with women, and have done as the children of earth do, and have taken unto themselves wives. So this implies that there's some ceremony, and apparently it's not just a wife, it's like Solomon, 300. But then again, he had 700 concubines. I mean, if that was the case, Solomon wouldn't have a damn minute to do anything but, yeah. So these angels are now petitioning this human who has the ability now to either transport himself, flies in a ship or something. He seems to have the access card, the A card that gets him in to this heaven place, gets by the gatekeeper, apparently. Wow. And so, I mean, was the sex not satisfying? I'm thinking, they defiled themselves. We now know that it's the blood. So it implies that these angels have blood of some sort. They'd have to. Unless we're talking completely a genetic experiment on such a grand scale. Anyway, so they said to him, you have brought great destruction on the earth, and you shall have no peace or forgiveness of sin. You're screwed. That guy you used to know, he ain't talking to you anymore. He's cut you off, man. Y'all are in such deep shit. It's really bad. Wouldn't want to be you. I know you, but I don't want to be you. And inasmuch as they delighted themselves, so all right. So I just answered my own question. They must have had a great time. I don't know. It says that these angels taught Adam how to have sex. All sorts of implications on that one. Says, inasmuch as they've delighted themselves in their children and the murder of their loved ones shall they see, and over the destruction of their children shall they lament, and shall make supplication unto eternity, but mercy and peace shall ye not obtain. Now, there's something I thought was really interesting. I'm probably going to go a couple of minutes over, because the thought of me, it hit me when thinking about this, is that what if the mission of these aliens, we call them angels, fallen angels, what if it was all about creating a new species? That they wanted to somehow, again, create, they didn't have the genetic material in their heaven, but that material was readily available here on earth to create as the Creator did in their own image. Well, wouldn't you sacrifice everything for that? It's a different point of view, if not this evil. What if it was nothing more than they wanted the propagation of their own kind? Now, there could have been mistakes, probably were mistakes and what have you, but what if it was just that simple? Nothing nefarious. And Enoch went on and said to Azazel, "You shall have no peace. You're screwed. A severe sentence has gone forth against you to put you in bonds, and you shall not have toleration nor request granted to you. No clemency. Because of the unrighteousness which you have taught, and because of all the works of godlessness and unrighteousness and sin which you have shown to men." So it wasn't us. I mean, you're all pissed off at us. You give this whole religion telling us we have to accept this Jesus or this thing and that thing. And, it wasn't us. Y'all are the ones that screwed this up. Leave us alone. We don't want you. We don't want your religion. We don't want your kind. Just get the fuck out of here. Then I went on and spoke to them all together, and they were all afraid, and fear and trembling seized them. And they besought me to draw up a petition for them that they might find forgiveness, and to read their petition in the presence of the Lord of heaven, small h. So this isn't God, it's this Lord. And from thenceforward, they could not speak with him nor lift their eyes to heaven for shame of their sins for which they have been condemned. Dead man, dead angel walking. Then I wrote out the petition and the prayer in regard to their spirits and their deeds individually, so we know they have spirits, and in regard to their request that they should have clemency, forgiveness, and length. And I went off and sat down at the waters of Dan, in the land of Dan, to the south of the west of Hermon, and I read their petition till I fell asleep. And behold, a dream came to me. I don't think it was a dream. I think he was, transported. And the vision fell down upon me, and I saw vast visions of chastisement, and a voice came bidding me to tell it to the sons of heaven and reprimand them. Okay, we got two more to go. And when I awoken, I came into them and basically said, "You're screwed, man." And when I came up on them, they're all crying, man, they're just bumming out, weeping, Abzel, and which was between Lebanon and Censer, with their faces covered. So these beings were here on earth. You could see them. And I recounted before them all the visions which I had seen in sleep, and I began to speak the words of righteousness and reprimand the heavenly watchers. We'll pick up on this on Monday. The book of words of righteousness. Righteous words. Great, great story. And again, it's just my take on it, my opinion and my commentary. But it's fun for me because I get to basically go back with all these, decades of everything that was, you're so heavily indoctrinated with. And now I look at it and I go, oh man, ain't nothing like it all what they told us. Nothing at all. Says, are you sure about humans being smart because they conditioned the earth might disagree with you? Hey, listen, I didn't say humans were smart. I didn't say that. I must obviously be popping in on a question on that. Stephanie says, my heart goes out to so many countless people who passed away not knowing where to go, or possibly was abducted by these crazy lunatics. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is nuts, folks. You know, I am anti-religion. It's the opiate of the people. It's truly what it is. It dumbs us down. It disallows cognitive reasoning or thinking, questioning, because it's very obvious that this Yaldabaoth doesn't like any kind of pushback. Ain't gonna take that back talk. You know? I mean, if this thing exists, it don't like me at all. That's fine. I don't like it either. Hey, Chris, what's up? She says, the truth shall set you free. It comes as needed. It's weird. Religion, Nina says, equals guilt and control. Yeah, yeah. Hey, Elderberry, you're quite welcome. I think it's a delightful way. I mean, again, we're going to get back into this reincarnation, but it begins to go into the thought that if this is the way the system is, and it's obviously a system, it's again has organization, hierarchy. Um, what's really going on here? We can't be living in free will because by these words, and these words are in every religious book that's out there, is judgment for mankind. I haven't found one religion that says, hey, it's a bunch of bullshit. There ain't no judgment. The only judging that's going to take place is you to you. I haven't read that book. And if it ain't out, I should write it. Because, again, there's no love here. This love is a perverted love. It's like someone having beat the shit out of you when you're 10 years old and then telling you that they love you. It has a tendency to warp your perspective as to, well, what the fuck is love then? You know? It's just the way it is, folks. We've all been there, right? No, it's a freaking miracle the way I look at it, at that we have survived everything that we have survived and we find ourselves here. And we have this opportunity with this medium to exchange thought, because this is all we're doing. I'm speaking a word that's a thought and it's a word and yada, yada, yada. And you know how our ancestors probably didn't have that advantage. They were small groups in communities. And if you had the sojourner who come in, would share knowledge and ideas, and you know, we have this opportunity to meet. And this is what makes it cool, because we all have different ideas, different points of view. Yeah. So thanks for hitting the like button. Hit it up, share it, do whatever you got to do with it. Thank you, Kat. Tan Hawk says it's all you. We designed this game to grow. In order to know love, we choose to experience its opposite. Well, yeah. I mean, if you didn't know what pain was, you wouldn't know what joy is, right? Yeah. John Price of the B-52s wrote about, I think they called it about the Love Shack, didn't they? Hey, Lost in Space. All right, everybody. Have you see everybody else? Lori knows it. Yeah, this group. I mean, we're all together. Trina's thinking at that. Lauren, how are you? Beautiful. Good to see you. Have a great weekend yourself. All the rest of you. I love this group. I'm telling you. Yeah, now we got a little bit of Roxy music going on. Love is the drug. Uh-huh, indeed. Stephanie, you're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate you as well. And anyway, so have it, keep cool if you can. Thoughts going out there to you folks down in Texas. It sucks. But we're in this thing. You know what we could do as a group, if you want to, if you're watching this and if you stayed, appreciate it. What we could do as a group is begin to collectively think cool. To see the United States and just think cool. Yeah, that's cool. All right, until we see each other on Monday. Much love, everyone.